So I'm sitting here looking at the fuel prices, and I started seeing some stuff online, and we're back to that old thing about fuel, this, that, why is it cheaper across the road? So let's break down fuel. So before we get too far into this, fuel cards are your friend. And you know, we just changed fuel cards again, and everybody's like, oh, fuel cards charge you to use it. They charge you for this, they charge you for that. I said, yeah, they do. But, you know, tax-wise last year, my fuel card paid for itself. Everything I spent on the fuel card, I basically cost me the first 3 weeks of having the card. And the rest was, it's worth it. It cost me $765 last year to, well, year before last. I haven't done the numbers this year. But year before last to use the fuel card, and I saved well over $10,000 in discounts. So what got me on this was I was sitting there looking at, you know, a TikTok about a guy going, you know, why is this fuel over here cheap and this one, this and that? And he's looking at the sign, and I'm like, dude, you've got to stop looking at the signs. Cash is no longer king in this game, which is sad. It's just, okay, yeah, you get six cents off for using cash. Would you rather have 6 cents off, or would you rather have $1.06 off? Because sometimes the difference is that much. So let's break it down. So first thing you have to know is the actual cost of fuel. If you get on the apps and all that, if you have a ComData or an EFS or all that, providing the EFS app actually works, yeah, that's a slight to you, EFS, you'll notice that the prices are different. Now, I have found that with the cost of fuel, sometimes the cost of fuel is more in one state than it is another, but the taxes are less, so you're actually still paying less. So you have to figure out, you know, with IFTA, you know, sometimes it used to be cheaper for me to fill up in Illinois than would be in Iowa, by a good 10 cents a gallon. And I was paying more road tax in Illinois, so I was actually getting a refund on my IFTA, which is an International Fuel Tax Agreement, my road tax. I was actually getting a rebate on it. But that's, so let's get to the cost of fuel. Now, how much does the fuel actually cost with no taxes, no this, no that, and all that? You'd be surprised that the cost of fuel is pretty much the same across the board. I remember one time, this has been a couple years back, the cost of fuel in California was actually cheaper than it was in Iowa. The difference was all the taxes involved, and we'll go into that here in a minute. So, the cost of fuel, just the bare base cost, untaxed, what does it cost? And that's where you start. But, so let's go and I'll see if I can get on an app here, and I'll show you what this actually costs here. So this is an old one. I'm not going to do any new ones, but so I'm in Alabama right now. We're in McCalla. So we go over here. That's the cost is $3.31. So the taxes and fees are 24 cents. State taxes 29 cents. Super funds 0.012. They can charge you freight, pump fee, total cost, retail price. So yeah, so we're paying right here. It's $4.21. I believe that's it. Nope, that's Tuscaloosa. So, yep, $4.21 right here is the retail price. Then, of course, you know, you get, you know, your discount, your price. So if it's $4.21 here, we're paying $3.94 here, and we have a savings of 27 cents a gallon. Now this one that I showed you is a little outdated. I'm not going to do anything new because, well, I don't want to get in trouble with the company or anything like that. But for the most part, okay, so you're saving 27 cents a gallon here at the Flying J. You don't want Flying J. You don't like them. Well, the price is comparable elsewhere you go, but it's has to do with your fuel card. So you add up 27 cents a gallon times 100 gallons. That's quite a chunk of money. So if you put in around 150 gallons, which is typical, you're gonna knock, I don't know, 40 bucks off it. I've actually gotten much better discounts than that, but I don't fill up with a Flying J. So let's go check some others and see what they're doing. Now, as you see here in Alabama, we're just down the road here. I forgot. But, it's 421, so we are, I think it's up the road. Yeah, anyhow. So you sit there and you go through, retail price, retail, this, that, pumping fee, discount, best discount, for the loves. And it goes through there, total taxes, federal, state, other taxes, and all that. And all that's in. But what you notice here, though, is that there's also sales tax. If you start scrolling down, there's a lot of states that charge sales tax here in this R. So that's one thing you really have to be mindful of, that there's a lot of sales tax on these gallons, too. So it's been a couple days. I survived the horror that was the Piggly Wiggly. I'm here in Missouri now. The pump price is $4.29, but I'm going to show you how a fuel card does help. We're going to put 100 gallons in, and then we can compare it that way with 100 gallons. It'll be $420 some odd dollars. And but then we'll show what it's actually going to be with the app. And then we can do the difference there. So we got 429 here, 414 for DEF, which is ridiculous. So get this going, and then we'll show you how this works. Moving kind of slow here. We got the night. I meant to get DEF, but I think I hit the wrong button. Alright, let's see if we can get this thing to stop on 100 here. There we are. Now, as we see, it's $426.68 for 100.420 gallons. So, check the website real quick and see what I really paid. Okay, so as you see, I'm in New London, Missouri. $4.24. You get a 6-cent discount here if you pay cash or third-party card. And what I ended up actually paying was $3.82 a gallon. So with my fuel card, I knocked off 42 cents a gallon, which basically I saved 42 bucks over pump price. Not bad. So what is it with these credit cards and stuff like that? Well, I'll explain something here. So as we discovered, this is the credit price, and there's a cash price, which is about 6 cents cheaper. The credit price is if you use your Visa, MasterCard, debit card, whatever. Guys, don't ever use that. I know it's easy, but that is the most expensive way you can do it. But, if you have no other options, now I know why guys do it because it is easy. They only have one bill they have to pay. Now, mind you, you're filling up once a day. It's costing you probably close to $300 a week to use that credit card over cash. Well, over a regular ComData card. Over cash, it's probably costing you quite a bit less. But if you're going to sit there and do that, pay cash and just send your accountant the receipt. But this is why a lot of guys, especially a lot of the independents, have started moving into other third-party apps, because this is a third-party card that got me. Yes, it is expensive to use, but I paid what? Maybe $5 $100 to use it. So I paid $5 to use it. I saved $42 on fuel. So in reality, I saved 38 bucks. So the card paid for itself. But this is why a lot of guys are getting things like Mudflap and other apps like that. Now, a lot of people are hesitant to Mudflap and stuff like that because, well, you have to pay it daily. You pay your fuel daily. Now, a lot of guys just don't have the cash flow to do that. It would be advantageous for you guys to do that. It sounds like a lot of money, but I'll tell you this, once you get used to it, you'll like it. Your fuel will always be paid for, and you know, it does help out, and you're getting a great deal. You know, a buddy of mine, he does it, and he was telling me about it, and he said, yeah, at first it made me nervous. He said, but now, once I get fuel that's paid for, I got a discount, and like with a credit card, it's just immediately billed. So he's paying for it, but it's working out for him. And a lot of guys I've been talking to have been doing the same thing. A third-party card is the way to go, even if you're a private guy. It's just, we're not out here to spend money on things we don't need to spend money on. We're out here to save money and spend that money where it matters. So let's start talking about surcharge and things of that nature. Yeah. So just by comparison, we're in Center Point, Iowa right now. It's $4.18, well, $3.29, but it's $4.18 for diesel here. Now, DEF is cheaper, don't get me wrong on that, but $4.18.9. But on any of my fuel cards, I only get really deals at about 5 big chains. Well, not even that many. It depends how you're set up and how many gallons you guys pump on your card. But, like, I don't get a deal at the TA or the Petro. But I get a deal at Pilot Flying J, the Quick Trips, not the QTs, the KWIKs up north. The Quick Stars, Quick Trips, whatever. And the Loves. And then I get a little bit here and there depending on the brand. Now, if you have like the Mudflap app, you get a pretty good deal at Casey's. Truthfully, Casey's sign prices are usually, depending on where you're at, are usually 15 to 20 cents lower. So if you are having to pay for a card, or you are having to pay, you know, cash, this isn't a bad deal if this is what you're reduced to. But if you have like an app or the Mudflap app or some of these other smaller cards, you can get some pretty good deals at smaller places like this. Your cards have to be set up for it. Now, my cards aren't, but that's just what the company runs. Now, if I'd go out and get my own card, I'd have to start doing my own fuel tax reporting, and that's why I don't do that. So, yes, it just comes down to laziness, and the amount of money I save would be almost ideal, but I'd have to work a lot harder. So, you know, if they're going to do it, it's costing me a couple of bucks a month. I really don't care. It's worth it. Sitting out here looking out the window, and it was pretty warm yesterday, and now I'm back to this. It was 72 in Bessemer on Thursday, so yeah, now I'm just freezing. So let's get talking about fuel surcharge. So how do they figure fuel surcharge? Well, they just take the national average from the price of fuel or the area that you're in, or whichever way they can get off cheaper, and divide it by the average miles per gallon, which is 6. So basically, if you had well, it's $4.18 divided by 6. So let's figure out what that is. Give me a minute. All right, so let's just do 420, and we'll divide that by 6 equals 0.07, so 70 cents. Whoops, How do I get off this? So, realistically, if life was fair, the fuel surcharge for this would be 70 cents a mile. Now, you're like, well, that's way too high. I don't even get nearly that. I'll tell you this. You know, a lot of these guys get these broker loads and they say, oh, the surcharge is in with the freight. Well, what's it paying? Well, it's paying you all in $1.35 a mile. It's not in. They're keeping the surcharge. But I do know from experience, I don't know anybody that doesn't charge a fuel surcharge, whether you get it or not. So it's just one of those things that I'm real touchy on. I truthfully believe a driver should get 100%. And it's become a really big scam these days, and I could really go on a rant about that, which I might. I was talking to a guy the other day about that, and the company offered him 86% of the surcharge. He said, no, if I'm paying 100% of the fuel, I'm getting 100% of the surcharge. And I agree with him on that, because that's only fair. Another scam these guys are doing now is they're giving the drivers all their surcharge, but they're keeping 50% of the rebate. No. The driver's paying for the fuel. He needs to get all of his rebate. And that's why, you know, with a lot of these companies, these owner-operators are getting their own fuel cards, because they're starting to realize the companies are screwing them. So they're taking matters into their own hands. And they send their fuel in once a week for fuel reporting, but these guys are saving more money because that's what it's about. So watch that. So I'll tell you this is no lie. I can't show you the form. Well, I probably could, but I don't want to get in trouble with the company. I've had surcharges that were well over $1 a mile. That's not a joke. I had one load where the fuel surcharge was higher. I was getting paid more for the surcharge than I was to haul the freight. The money is out there. And a lot of these people are starting to realize that, and that's why they're screwing these drivers over. The biggest way I ever got scammed on the surcharge was getting paid on the national average. You know, and I'm finding out that these loads that I'm hauling are paying 40 and 50 cents a mile. And I'm getting 18 to 20 cents. Is that the average? No. That's what they say. Well, they're doing their voodoo math. But of course, they'll never share the numbers with me. So when the price of fuel spikes, if you get a guy that's been doing this a while, he'll flat tell you he loves it when the price of fuel goes up because he's got a good surcharge. The fuel surcharge the last 2 years was so high. There was months that the fuel never came out of my base money. The surcharge paid for all of it, and I was still putting money away in my pocket. So you got to figure these things out. The price of fuel is kind of a moot point regardless if you're getting paid properly. And when it comes to fuel, you need to get paid properly, because there's a lot of companies out there that are more than happy to take that money to supplement their own stuff. So just watch yourself. I mean, I know in a lot of cases it is what it is, but in a lot of cases it doesn't have to be. Remember, if you're an owner-operator, you do have options. What I've been getting at is what I've been talking about, conventional wisdom. Things that the old days just aren't relevant anymore. But not only that, the reason part of these companies love lease operators is because they were a company driver. A lot of them don't have any experience anywhere else, so they're still in a company mindset. And they don't understand that, they don't understand the game. True, they do eventually learn it, I hope, but a lot of times it comes at a high cost. And so this is kind of what I'm getting at. You know, this is kind of why I do a lot of these videos. I want you guys to be wealthy. Not rich, wealthy. You know, because real wealth and real success out here, while it does have a lot to do with money, it has a lot to do with just the whole broad scope of things. And the money will follow if you're doing what you can to the best of your abilities and you're trying to do it honest and right. And a lot of these companies try to paint you into a corner to where you have one option and it's the one they give you. And that's part of why, you know, I rail about how much I hate leasing trucks. But that's also why I do a lot of these videos, because I want you guys to know that in the grand scheme of things, you have more options than you could ever imagine. One of these days I need to do it about financing a truck, because truthfully, had I known it was this easy to buy a truck when I bought mine over leasing one, I would have done it 100% different. But that's another story for another day. So this video has taken a couple days, but it was about fuel, and the little rant was just, you know, I want you guys to be well. I want you guys to make money, like I said. Fuel is the biggest expense you'll have. You know, you'll have random expenses and things of that nature. Things that go here and there, but as general expenses go, it's going to be fuel. And while you will need the deduction for your taxes and things of that nature, a lot of times that excess money can be spent elsewhere, you know, on tires and things of that nature. And like I've said, fuel cards have saved me $10,000 to $12,000 a year, and that's worth it right there. So if you think of the cost of a card is initially high, and it does cost to use it at times, like a ComData's are very expensive cards, but spent about $750 using a ComData last card, but I saved $10,000. Is that worth seven? Is that worth? Would you rather give up saving $10,000 because you don't want to spend $750? You do the math. And if you say it's not worth it, well, you'll be a company driver here soon. So there are a lot of different ways to spend money, but fuel doesn't have to be hard. So this little video is just showing you guys what I've learned and what I do, and just a few ideas and little paths you can start looking into, to where hopefully you can start saving yourself some money. Because remember, the discount is yours. You're buying 100% of the fuel, and the surcharge should be 100% yours. So get what's yours and do it right. And I hope you're getting what's yours. So I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next video.
Solo and solely exploring what I need. Cause dozens of times I swear that I knew when the wisdom was scanty. Doesn't mean I was broken, so open I gave it till empty. Got it all back by myself, now nobody can tempt me.